Welcome everybody to the webinar today where we're going to learn how to start a profitable mobile app business right now in 2025. I'm joined today by CEO, agency owner, and also, perhaps more importantly, my regular webinar guest, Priyesh. Welcome today.
Thank you so much, Charles.
Also joined by our network director and a man who's published many, many apps, Richard Dowman. Thank you for giving up your time.
Welcome.
Last but certainly not least, we have our new-ish, because you've been here for how long now? 6 months?
7 months.
7 months. He's only 14 years old. It just feels like a long time. No, it's Nitin. Nitin, thank you so much for joining us today for the webinar. So Nitin, this is your first and hopefully not last webinar. And so I thought it might be good just to kick things off with a bit of an introduction and give all of our guests today and our viewers a bit of an overview of your background behind coming CTO of Eazi-Business.
So my background is software development from the education days. I've been doing programming, particularly back office development and the app development for potentially like 20 years now. So I look young, but I've been doing programming for many years. I'm actually a proud certified BlackBerry developer. So there used to be a phone called BlackBerry in 2005, 10, those years. And I've done a lot of good projects on a BlackBerry. And then obviously we moved to the Android and iOS development along with backend .NET and other programming language. And then from moving on to from development to that we started the software development company around 10 years ago. And we've grown from 2 developers to roughly 200 developers now, doing all sorts of mobile apps and the bespoke software solution projects. Since August, joined the Eazi-Business as a CTO, and kind of really enjoying it. I can't really believe it's already been 7 months. It feels like 7 weeks.
Well, it's fantastic to have you here and great to get that insight into your background. So it sounds like you've been in mobile for a really long time, and your current team of developers, would you say that they're really specifically focused on building mobile apps and mobile solutions? Is that their forte?
Yes, the mobile apps, particularly Flutter and the native iOS, Android, we got a very strong team on those platforms.
Brilliant. And from what I understand, um, prior to becoming CEO Priyesh, and potentially even afterwards, you've been working with Nitin to deliver custom mobile apps for your customers. Could you give me some examples of the types of projects that you've worked on together?
Absolutely. So, I mean, yes, I've been working with Nitin for now six years. So I joined Eazi-Business 7 years ago, and 1 year in, I realized there was a need for some custom solutions. Connected with Nitin, and we've been working ever since. And Charles, certainly afterwards as well. That is definitely the aim. That we've got ongoing projects that we are working on a daily basis, which is great. We've worked on a whole host of custom projects, iOS apps, Android apps, different platforms and portals, quoting engines, course platforms, CRM systems. There's been a whole host of areas that are there. I think one standout example to me, and I always remember this example, is one of our clients is one of the largest removals companies in the UK. And how they typically work is they have surveyors. Let's say you're moving home, Charles. They'll have a surveyor coming to your home. They will look at all your goods and products, and they'll decide how many vans are needed, how many people are needed, what's fragile, what's not, and so on and so forth. So it needs face-to-face interaction, somebody actually at your premises. COVID hit, and basically the whole industry ground to a halt because you couldn't carry out a survey of the property. So the company in mind came to us and said, right, we need to move really quickly. and we want to build a surveyor app where our team are all working remotely. A prospect comes to us, we send them a link, iOS or Android, it opens up and downloads on their phone, and then opens up the app, and the team member can visually see via video all the ongoings that are happening in the house. So the client walks around the house, they're able to take full video, which is recorded and stored within a local server. But also they could say, right, you're walking past a grand piano, for example. They could ask the clients, can you just stop there? They press a button. It takes a still shot, which also gets added to it. And that allowed them to survey the properties and also send out quotes when the rest of the industry basically could do nothing. So they were able to monopolize and capitalize on what was a very tricky period for a lot of businesses. I remember we did a soft launch of the product, which ran for 3 months, and they called it a soft launch. They did 10,000 surveys. Nitin, I'm sure you remember 10,000 surveys in the first 3 months. And I think the feedback that we got off the app, because at the end of a survey, it asks for a 1 to 5 star review, was in the high 90% of 5 star reviews. And it was two things. Number one, the technology was received very well. We had to be innovative, we had to be agile, we had to be flexible, but also it allowed this particular business to carry on running when all others had to stop. So that's one example I love to share. We've done other projects for the likes of PwC, Foreign Office. There's various projects that are there, but some really nice case studies.
So if I double click on that example of the moving company, so the feature that you've built in that app is incredibly specific to them.
Yeah,
You're not going to find a generic feature like a booking system or a e-commerce system that you tweak. You've got to build it from the ground up.
absolutely.
And clearly there's a massive use case there and you've solved a big problem. Now, our generic or general apps might retail at a couple of £1,000 to £3,000. How much would a project like that cost and how long would it take to deliver?
So generally, when you're looking at an iOS and Android app, both, because most enterprise that level of client wants their apps on both stores, essentially, you're generally looking circa around the £30,000 mark. But I would say when you're looking at software development as a whole, I think the range is very much from around £10,000 to £50,000 is probably our highest value that we've done. So from a turnover perspective, as a digital agency, it's brilliant for us, but also it allows us to be really creative and work with some really high level innovative solutions for particular businesses and solve real life, real world problems through custom code.
Brilliant. And Nitin, you were obviously on the receiving end of that project to some degree, having to actually fulfill the wishes of not only Priyesh but also this big moving company as well. Um, how much involvement would be required for an agency owner like Priyesh? Like, how much of his time would he have to give up in order for you to deliver the project and your developers to create a finished product?
Yeah. So generally it changes on a case by cases, but we have a project management team here, and we try to look after the end client with minimum kind of involvement for the partners, because our project managers will look after client directly. They will have a project managers platform for communications. So we still represent the partner's brand in front of client, but we use the all project management tools and the right way of communicating to clients to minimize the involvement of partners. But end client, we need a lot of their involvement because we need to understand their problem, make sure they are using it properly. Is a test phase is executed properly. So end client, a lot of involvement. Partners, case by cases, but we try to minimize as much as possible.
So you're actually communicating directly with the moving company, with the end client. And
Yes.
so it's not the case that Priyesh, you had to act as a middleman at all. There's that direct communication there so you can keep the momentum going.
Exactly. And yeah, go on, please.
Yeah, absolutely. That's you've hit the nail on the head. So I would say key touch points that we had at the start of the project when we're pitching for it. Myself and Nitin were both part of it. Uh, I was obviously representing Digital Inspired as the agency, and Nitin was on the technical side of things. So that was one key touch point. Once the project kicks off, I would say every couple of weeks, looking for internal updates between me and Nitin to make sure it's moving along. But very much left internal comms between Nitin and the client. I was still appraised of everything that was going on, but it was fairly minimal involvement.
Brilliant. So on the one hand, you've got this type of app that's quite expensive, takes a little bit of time to deliver. It involves the involvement of specialists, so your team, Nitin. But on the other side of our business, we've got apps that are published in volume on the Easy Apps platform, and we publish lots and lots of these apps. So I wondered if Richard, you could give us an overview of how this compares to delivering a custom project.
Yeah, absolutely. Um, I mean, obviously, the process that Priyesh and Nitin have spoken about just now is much more complicated than building an app on the Easy Apps platform. The platform apps, they're built very, very fast from a selection of really nice templates, and they're put together with a drag and drop editor, so there's no previous experience really required there at all. Also, once you put the app together, we've got an internal publishing team at head office that handles the last part of getting that app onto the App Store for you. So it's much simpler.
Brilliant. So it sounds like it's a streamlined process. Pretty much anyone could do it over the course of a few days. Could you give me, just as a follow-up question, some examples of the types of customers that you've had for those types of apps?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I've pretty much done everything from, charities to sports clubs to restaurants. I've done personal trainers and pretty much anything you can think of in between over the years. So the flexibility is really, really great for that platform. And it allows you to, well, it allows those businesses essentially to kind of punch much higher than they otherwise would be able to do.
Absolutely, because I think there's a lot of people that have this perception that having their own mobile app would cost 30 to 50,000 pounds.
100%.
So actually being able to give that mobile presence to someone that's an independent personal trainer or someone that's trying to run an independent restaurant and get ahead of the competition,
Mhm.
I think is an incredible thing. One thing that I've really noticed over the last 12 months specifically, and a big part of this is down to us re-releasing our mobile app platform, is that the technology now that sits behind building these modular apps, these apps that you can deliver quite quickly, has really accelerated, like really, really accelerated in comparison to where it used to be. I wonder if you could maybe speak to that and give us some insight into the recent advances that we've seen.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, wow. Where do I start without actually keeping you all here for hours? That's the question. So let me try and give you a shortened version. So the newest version of the Easy Apps platform has over 190 feature extensions. It's got AI technology sort of sprinkled through it that allows you or the app customer to create content inside that really in seconds. Um, it's probably the fastest editor I've ever used, and it delivers probably the fastest apps I've ever used. If you're looking to niche into a particular industry, which some partners do, then you can even clone those apps as many times as you want to reproduce them very, very quickly. And there's no cost for you as a partner to do that either. So that would be a very, very condensed version. I don't know if you want me to expand on any of those.
One thing that I would be really interested in exploring is is the topic of AI that you've mentioned, because you framed it in the context of creating content, which, we've done for quite a while on websites, coming up with SEO topics.
Mhm.
Are you using AI for tasks that go beyond content at all with that platform?
Um, So a recent fitness app that I've made, I've actually integrated ChatGPT into that as a feature rather than using it for content creation. So this GPT specifically has been trained to be a professional fitness trainer that can give you advice on workout plans and nutrition plans. And it's actually a feature that sits in the app that we've just called the Reps PT Pro. So you can actually go in there and ask any question you want and the AI will just respond directly in that feature of the app. So there's a lot more that you can do with AI these days, both inside and outside of the app. But there are some really good core features inside there specifically for that reason.
It's a really interesting way of making an application more engaging,
Oh,
creating that
absolutely.
that two-way dialogue between the user and the content in
Mm.
a way that's done really naturally. I find that really interesting, and I would also recommend anyone download this app. I've got it on my phone. It's a really incredible application, and you almost wouldn't believe that it was built using the Easy Apps platform. It's that advanced, the way that it's set up. Um, Quick question well, maybe it's not a quick question. Oh, the question is quick, the answer might be long. I wanted to explore this idea of finding mobile app customers, and perhaps we could start with the custom apps, Priyesh. So, how do you find someone that's looking to spend 30 to 50,000 pounds on a custom app?
So I think it's very much based on relationships. When you're dealing with those types of projects, it is networking, it's using your existing client base, it's nurturing relationships and positioning yourself as an authority, positioning yourself as the go-to in the industry to be able to open a door. And once the door is open, then it's up to you to be able to showcase that you are everything that you want them to feel they are that you are, and so I think it firmly on the custom side of things. It is those internal relationships that you have, and the more you expand your network, the more you expand your client base. Those people start to understand the capabilities as a digital agency and what you're able to offer, and that yields varying opportunities that are there. The second piece is that you would get some clients on the smaller end of the spectrum that want a basic app, but there are custom elements to it, and so you're almost bringing in a hybrid model there. That's an easier way of approaching it. It's more cost effective, it's simpler to build, but that still brings in the custom element as well. So I'd say it's both sides, but really it all starts with relationships.
So, specifically focusing on having that wider network, casting that wider net so you can find these individuals. And I also really like the concept of sort of taking someone from what is an entry level app and introducing those custom elements. Because I guess for a lot of people, that's kind of easier to digest than
Yeah.
somebody going from zero to 50,000 pounds, which can seem like quite a big jump.
And there's another piece to it, that there's layers that get added to this. So often with these larger projects, they've never been the first project that we've done. They often test with a smaller project. I'll give you, it might be a website. We get a website project through, we deliver, they love our service levels, communication, deliverables, the end output. They're really pleased with the entire end-to-end service and the product that has been there. And then the ability at the end of that to say, by the way, we also offer apps, custom development, and so on and so forth. Because you've already gone and built that trust, it's actually then not a sell or an upsell, that you're already in the game, you've already built the relationship. So I would say a lot of work has come through that as well. We've been almost tested with a smaller project before we've been given that big piece of work at the end of it.
Brilliant. And the same question really to Richard. So you mentioned this whole range of businesses that you've worked with, from restaurants to personal trainers to sports clubs. How are you finding these business owners, these SME owners?
Yeah, so I mean, I've been in this business for 10 years, so I've pretty much tried everything over that time. And the way I've done things has evolved over that time as well. I would certainly echo Priyesh's methods that I think it is a relationship style business. And I think that face-to-face interaction, it's always going to have the most value because you can sit down and actually consult with them and ask the right questions during that time, which is what essentially is going to build that trust to get them over the line. However, I've also seen success with marketing locally through social media, also networking, building collaborative partnerships with other, website companies and marketing companies and referrals, things like that with like-minded businesses. So there's a lot of different avenues to explore. Just as an example through that social media, that recent fitness app that I did, I posted it up on a local kind of Facebook page for the town that I live in. And within 24 hours, I've actually had two people come to me who downloaded the app and say, hey, I really like this app. Could you do something for me as well? So there's a lot of value to find out there, but you've got to put yourself out there as well at the same time. So just doing numbers, having as many conversations as you can, and obviously a proportion of those will ultimately lead to sales. I also use the app demo as a key element to the sales aspect of my business because this was a lot earlier on, especially when I didn't feel I had the really any sales skills when I started. I was simply going out there and delivering free demo apps to clients. And what I would do is I'd just go away and spend half an hour putting a quick template together with a bit of branding and some of the kind of relevant features for their business. And then I'll be showing them that on a mobile. Now, a picture paints 1,000 words, but when they've got the mobile in their hand and they can almost see their business working on an app, that I think instills a lot of confidence and a lot of excitement. So that worked for me quite a lot as well. So quite a few points in there, but hopefully that made sense.
Really good response. And there's one point I was wondering if maybe you could give me an example of.
Yep.
So you mentioned quite a few routes to market, which
Yep.
I think most people would understand. Like most people understand what a Facebook ad is, what a
Hmm.
business networking event is. You mentioned partnerships
Hmm.
with like-minded businesses.
Hmm.
I would imagine for quite a few people in the audience that might just go way above their head. Like, what is a partnership with a like-minded business?
Okay.
How is
So
that going to give me a
I'll
customer?
give you a sort of real world example. Again, this was a little bit earlier on when I started this kind of collaborative partnership, but at a networking event, I met a website company. Now, officially, I did deliver websites, but I didn't see that as an obstacle or somebody that I was competing with. I opened up a conversation and dialogue, about their business. They already had 500 established clients, but they never wanted to touch mobile apps. So there was an opportunity there for me to, or for them to come to me and have mobile apps built for those existing network of clients and for them to obviously make a markup. So it's really a win-win situation. And building a few of those kind of partnerships with various different like-minded businesses can bring a lot of leads and warm leads directly to you rather than you having to go out there and really make a lot of time, put a lot of time and effort into those interactions.
Brilliant.
I think it's really important what he said, the partnership angle. Effectively, I think the concept behind partnerships is you're trying to expand your sales team because when you start by yourself, it's just you. And that can be time intensive, labor intensive, if it's just you having to do the sales. Now, imagine you have a client network that is talking about you. They know you do a great job and they're your advocates, they're your brand advocates and your brand fans. Imagine that you've got within a business networking environment, you've got brand advocates in that room. Imagine doing partnerships with SEO agencies, social media agencies, and a quid pro quo. I'll pass work your way, but you pass work my way. Suddenly, you're building a network of people that are fans of your business, and they are your extended sales team out there with open ears, listening out for opportunities that go both ways. And I think that's the beauty of partnerships. It creates an environment of an expanded sales team, really.
I can give you one further example that actually happened last night, which was from a printing company, and they actually passed me an app, and the guy called me last night, and we're building a PWA for his new coffee shop that he's opening. Obviously, that's something that I've passed, printing, t-shirts, signage, that kind of business back his way as well. That was really good.
Brilliant. It reminds me of this. I did an interview with Neil, who's based up in Yorkshire, one of our partners, and he mainly delivers apps. And he found this web design agency, and they just built websites for car garages. And they said they'd had 400 customers, and they were like, "Oh, we would never facilitate an app for them." And it was just like a light bulb moment. And suddenly he's got 400 customers who are already investing in digital services. There's already trust there with the agency. And it's this whole new market that's opened up, and they're not cold leads, they're warm leads, which is just ideal. I wanted to kind of segue away from, I guess, business development and talk about support, which is a big part of running any technology business. And I thought I'd bring Nitin back into the conversation before you disappear, Nitin. Um,
Yeah.
what's the support process like? What's involved with support when it comes to offering a custom app to a customer? How does that work?
So with the support, and particularly a lot more with the custom apps, there is a ongoing support. And in 9 out of 10 apps, there's always a phase 2, phase 3, phase 4 development, because it's solving a business problem, which is kind of ever changing. So I would kind of answer both support, maintenance, and then future changes, kind of in a one pot. When we go live with the custom app, the first couple of months, they are always uh, kind of a high in demand for support, because we're testing out the app. There's a new audience, new users. They are experiencing the app first time. It's specifically developed for the client. So the first couple of months are always demanding for the support. We always find few niggly things here and there to kind of make it app fully work. And after that, it becomes in a normal. We get queries or bugs here and there. But it kind of dries down significantly. The main thing we have to look after is the server, because with the custom apps, we have a server and database which are not part of the other big infrastructure. These are specifically set up or configured for the apps. So we have to look after the server, make sure it's up to date, all the security patches are applied. And the second part we have to look after is the every year or so, the lot of plugins or the new version of iOS and Android app come in. So we have to make sure the app still works on a new platform, or any particular plugin that is used in the app is not expired anymore. So we have a team to kind of regularly kind of check on the new plugins, new functionalities coming in, new version of iOS and Android, to make sure all of our custom apps are compliant.
So it sounds like there's quite a lot of work to be done on an ongoing basis with a custom app. And I wonder if you could maybe explain how that works commercially. So let's think about our moving company again, and they've paid Priyesh £30,000 for their app, for example.
Yeah.
How much time would your team have to inject into supporting that app? And how much would it cost for that business to pay for the support?
So so there's one formula, but the fact that we are calling it custom app means there is not a standard template. But in our go-to formula is, we look at the cost of the project, and we generally charge roughly 20% every year. So let's say the app is £30,000, then our maintenance and support cost is roughly £6,000 every year. But we have a different templates for the support. So for example, what we do is, if they require regular changes, then we provide like minimum support plus 2 or 4 days of monthly development. That means the client, they got to, let's say, 16 hours or 50 hours every quarter to keep improving the project. So that's either we go with a minimum support where we just look after the app and server and database, or we have this, 1 day, 2 days of monthly development support.
And from your perspective, Priyesh, so with again the removal company, for example, is there repeat revenue in it for your agency, or does that repeat revenue just go to the software developers?
No, so the monthly support, Nitin explained it on an annualized basis, but we split it into monthly pieces so it becomes more palatable for the client. But we'll always take a margin on the support element. But there are often upgrades and amendments and changes and ongoing work and so you can obviously then price that in and quote for further changes that are occurring on an ongoing basis. So that's one piece on that particular one. But the beauty of that is, though, with an organization like that, they're always looking at their technology and always looking to upgrade it. So it's not only a revenue stream from the monthly side, support side, it's not only a revenue stream from new upgrades, but new projects often come in as well and new requirements. So that one client generally will bring in a multitude of additional revenue streams.
Brilliant. And how does that compare, Richard, to supporting a local business? I'm assuming they're not paying you £6,000 a year to support their restaurant app.
No. So some partners might want to manage apps for customers, but I personally believe quite strongly in educating them. And most of my successful customers are completely self-sufficient as a result. And this obviously helps me with going out and making new business and scaling, if I'm not spending all the time kind of maintaining for them. I do charge a monthly fee, for maintenance, support, push notifications, things like that. Essentially, what I do is post-launch, I send the customer access to the sort of back office, to the app dashboard. They can make all their own live changes themselves there quickly and easily using that editor. Like I say, it's all about education for me. So I set up a customer meeting. I run them through the basics, like sending out a push notification, maybe changing a shop price on an item, something like that. I normally get them to do a dummy one just to sort of solidify the knowledge a little bit. And then really over the next few weeks, I might send over a couple of short screen recording videos, just if they get stuck with anything. But generally from there, they start to really enjoy using it because it's really easy to pick up. And actually they get pretty good at it pretty fast. Then on an ongoing basis, I'm just there as a point of contact, if they need me, which seems to be, very little, which is a good thing, in the right, from the right angle.
So you would essentially rather be hands off for a more affordable monthly fee and go the extra mile in educating people at the start, so you're not having to answer
Yeah.
phone calls and emails all the time, which I guess if you're running a business independently on your own, just going to make a lot of sense in terms of giving you the bandwidth to scale.
Totally. It's totally about time management for me. I still charge £100 a month for maintenance of a mobile app, which I think is a little bit above the guide price. But especially with the new developments on the Easy Apps platform, the last three customers I've had absolutely no problem just getting that value in, even for a progressive web app. So it's definitely a kind of manageable amount, and that brings me a nice chunk of profit every month from each customer that I publish.
I think it's also an amount that I think most business owners in the UK certainly would be quite comfortable paying, like
Definitely.
£100 a month for ongoing support on a native mobile app. I mean, it sounds really quite palatable.
Yeah, yeah.
So I wondered, Priyesh, part of your role here within Eazi-Business involves coaching entrepreneurs through the success coaching sessions that you deliver to partners. So once someone's joined the network, they've got an opportunity to check in with you a couple of times a month as they continue to develop their businesses. What would you say are the common mistakes that people make when trying to launch and scale a mobile app business? And equally, what would you do to avoid them?
A great question. So I think as from a helicopter view, the first starting point is not understanding the position in the market that a mobile app has. And there's often with new partners coming in and even clients that you're speaking to, a confusion between websites and apps. A lot of people almost feel as if they sit in the same space, but actually that's fundamentally incorrect. So when you're looking at a website, it is for client acquisition, to enhance your brand, bring in new opportunities, generate inquiries. An app sits in a completely different space. An app is for customer retention. So how do you create loyal customers? How do you create repeat business and customers coming back to you more than once and over again and spending with you as a business on a repeated manner? And understanding that as a core point allows you to understand how you're going to be pitching the business. The second sort of pain point that I commonly find is being overly technical, using too much jargon. I mean, the simple solution is really stripping it back, speaking in lay terms, speaking in their language, so that you're not having to be over technical, and you're really speaking and using language that they understand. I think the biggest pain point is this one size fits all strategy, and not actually dealing with businesses on a case-by-case basis. Every business is unique. Every industry is unique and have their nuances. And understanding what a business's pain points are and finding an exact solution to that pain point. I think that's really, really key. And final couple of smaller elements that I find is not being prepared as an overview before you're going into a prospect meeting, and that goes in two phases. I often build demo apps. So if I'm going in to see a hairdresser, I'll think of 5 features that I think they'll love from a customer retention perspective that will showcase that actually this will create more loyal customers for them. And I'll go and build out a very basic app. Won't spend too long, but it will just give them a visual representation, actually, of these are the benefits of an app for your individual business. But it's that preparation before of understanding what features fit with a particular industry. So they're probably the biggest pain points with a few solutions added to it.
So something that you mentioned in that answer lines up with something that Richard said around 15, 16 minutes ago, and that is using demo apps to find customers. So I guess 2 questions I would have with that would be, firstly, how much time are you investing in building a demo app? Because there's no certainty that they're going to come on board as a customer. And number 2, what standard is that app built to? Because it's a bit of a balancing act, isn't it? You want it to be quality enough that they feel inspired, but you don't want to deliver the whole thing. And I was curious if either yourself, Richard, or Priyesh could speak to that at all.
Yeah, I'm happy to answer that if you want. Yeah, I mean, I would say no more than 45 minutes max on a demo app. Try and get it down to 30. You know, the templates are all there, which kind of answers your second question. What level of quality should they be? They will look great because the templates look great. All you're really doing is just adding a bit of color, and the color palettes are all super easy to do. You're adding a logo, and then the features are just a case of selecting the feature that you want, and it will have some content within it. And the AI creation can speed it up. You can use Lorem Ipsum text or whatever, just very, very quickly, just to put that together, just so they can see something.
Yeah, I would echo that. Very, very minimal, 45 minutes an hour, absolutely maximum. And I think a lot of people are very visual, and so actually seeing something tangible for their business really, really impresses them. But I also think apps require a little bit more education. So if you go to a prospect and you're talking about a website, every business knows what a website does. Every business knows they need a website. It's just standard practice. Whereas for a lot of businesses, apps aren't an absolute necessity. So using that as an education piece to make them understand about the value of customer retention, customer loyalty through a handful, maybe 3, 4, 5 features that you can drag and drop in, and just being able to explain that and they can visually see it, I think adds so much context and value to how you're trying to position the proposition.
Absolutely. I suppose a question that some people in our audience today might have, and I guess I kind of have to speak on behalf of them, is a lot of the people watching this webinar have zero experience in building apps. Like they've never built an app, they've never seen an app development platform. Richard, I know you've been involved with our training program for a long time. How does the training work? Like, how do you take someone from being a complete novice that's downloaded Facebook on their phone or whatever it is people use these days, to someone that could build a demo app in 30 minutes?
Yeah, sure. I mean, in the Easy Apps training, you can expect to firstly kind of have an initial introduction to the course and to the mobile app landscape as a growth market. New partners are then taken into the different types of apps. They can download the head office enterprise app. This is a dedicated app just for the partners. And then they'll cover kind of any initial questions and thoughts before then heading into kind of the app technical, if you like, which is straight into to building your first app. So by the end of this session, you'll have set up a new design. You'll have learned how to add feature extensions and put a structure together, as well as how to add new content using the AI assistant. And you'll probably have a great time doing it. So there are levels. You'll come out of training with a kind of top level overview on how to do the basics. There's 190 extensions, so we're not going to cover all of those in training. But you'll be able to put a basic demo together by the end of that first session. The development of your skills will then be, okay, we're going to try this extension, we're going to put this feature extension in, and you'll just kind of be adding those in and configuring them and sort of seeing how they work as kind of time goes on. Obviously, we've got a dedicated support team that you can ask questions to anytime you like, by phone, live chat, email. They can often jump on a Zoom call with you and stuff. So there's a lot of support sitting behind that initial training. But yeah, definitely by the end of that first session, you'll be able to certainly put an app together 100%.
So really, even after only one day of training, you could still put together a demo app and get in front of a business owner. And of course, we also offer fulfillment services here, which is something we've talked about in previous webinars. So if you did need some assistance and help with the products, then we've got that option available. I think it's been a really interesting 12-month period, not just here at Eazi-Business, with both yourself, Nitin, and Priyesh coming in with a tremendous amount of expertise, but it's been a really interesting period for the technology space in general. We've seen the rise of AI into the mainstream, and it's already been integrated into our solutions and products. And in fact, Richard, you've mentioned some really good applications of it earlier in the conversation. I wondered, Nitin, as CTO of Eazi-Business, how do you see the industry evolving over the next 12 to 24 months? Where does your crystal ball suggest that we're going?
So I'm thinking a couple of things. So I got the phone and laptop in front of me. This phone got the same, or actually more memory than my laptop. The disk space is almost similar. Processor is same, very kind of similar powerful. So the phones are not going anywhere. They are becoming more and more powerful, and the demand for more content and more apps on the phone is kind of growing um, exponentially. So that will, continue to happen. And a lot of businesses are, moving a lot of their operations on a phone. So there will be a lot of business automation or business process apps in demand because, uh, you know, companies want their staff to get all those things done through app or phone. The second thing is the AI. I'm thinking on the AI side, the opportunities for next couple of years will be amazing. The the key thing is not to stay behind, because the the thing that we can do, we used to do in a support, let's say it was taking 4 hours, 8 hours to solve one query, one support query. With AI, that will be half an hour. What will happen is, currently some companies are doing it, few company will bring it on in a future stage, but slowly the consumer demand will grow. So they will want the solution in half an hour. So you won't have a choice to not to use the AI. So that is going to be a key factor. And same thing with the marketing side, where you used to send the brochures, and then now it's all social media and SEO. I think the AI will fundamentally change that game, because the content will be so congested. People will need to find a creative way of reaching out to the audience. Getting kind of stand up from the all the other contents that has been automatically created. So I think these are the two things. There's a lot of happening, but these two is just standing out.
I think it's some really, really interesting points. I feel like that ultimate connection between mobile and everything else through the advancement of mobile hardware has been on the cards, in my opinion, since like the M1 chip was released for Mac, and you've just got all of the architecture self-contained. And it'll be so interesting to see what happens there over the next 12 months, and how many almost mobile experiences come to desktop rather than the other way around, where we're looking to
Yeah.
scale things down. And I also think you made some incredibly interesting points about artificial intelligence and speeding up the support that we can offer, and how we can actually go about helping people faster than ever. Final question for today, before I go off on a massive tangent and talk about chips. Richard, why should someone join Easy Apps instead of attempting to build a mobile app business alone?
I'll try and keep this short and to the point. Um, Having joined Easy Apps myself as a licensee over 10 years ago, with literally zero experience in business, in technology, or in sales, my reasoning to join Eazi-Business would be that all the experience that you've seen today at the table, number one. So join Easy Apps for the experience and the tools that are provided, which are currently just absolutely outstanding. And I say that from an app developer point of view, and 100% the support, because actually without the support team there at the beginning, I never would have got anywhere near where I am now. I was on the phone to them, twice a day, pestering them with all sorts of queries, and that was really the leg up that I needed to start a new business. So that's my fairly short answer there.
Brilliant, nice and succinct, and really valuable. I'm mindful of the time because it's almost 10 to the hour, and I'd aimed for 45 minutes. But I'd like to finish up today by reminding everyone that's watching that at the end of this month, we are increasing the price of Easy Apps from 8,995 to 9,995. So if you're on the fence about starting a mobile app business with our support, now is the perfect time to do it, to come in at that more affordable entry price. If that's something you're interested in, not even going ahead with, but just exploring conceptually, please don't hesitate to reach out to the sales team. You can find links to booking a call on our website, or you can call us directly on 0800 865 4600. I'd like to thank Priyesh, Nitin, and Richard for attending the webinar today. It's been an absolute pleasure to have a chat with all of you. All the best, everyone. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Cheers. Bye.